right, have and have not fans. Hope everyone's doing well, and I hope you had fun if you joined in on Twitter, live tweeting with me during the episode last night, as well as my YouTube live stream. If you hopped aboard there and watched it, or if you just watched it live after, it already posted to the channel. And off the bat, you probably know I was not too fond of the episode No More Time. My score, 2 out of 10. Now, before going further, you all know the drill. Take a moment to hit the like button. Let's try to get to 50 likes on the video. Hit subscribe if you are new to the channel. And if you want to keep up with all the content I post, whether it be videos, live streams, or post to the community tab, click the bell icon and select all. That way you keep up to date with all the content that I post, especially with there only being 3 episodes left of season 7. Not to mention next Wednesday is the 2-hour premiere, the return of Sisters for season 2. And also links to all my various forms of social media. They're going to be in the description box below. Now, let's just hop into the episode. And during the live stream, I feel like everybody's on the same accord for the most part. Just looking at the comments and, once again, if you were on the live stream, a lot of people were saying exactly what I was thinking, feeling, and saying myself. This episode had to be one of the most boring episodes of the entire season, if not the entire series, because we were just once again, and this isn't something that's a new trend for the show, but it really felt like it stood out. Maybe because we didn't have an episode last week due to the debate. So we had like one episode, the hiatus, and then the episode that came on last night. Maybe because there was a little gap between it. But for whatever reason, this episode just stuck out like a sore thumb. Just the fact that it felt so flipping repetitive. Benny's whole stick the entire episode. Where's his address? Give me Derek's address. I want to kill him. I want to kill him. Okay, so let's break it down. Okay, the first scene is Benny still at the realtor office. He's on the phone with Veronica asking about, Derek, how does Veronica know about this stuff? And to be completely honest, Veronica is one of the finest attorneys, not just by looks, in the country. She can find whatever she wants to, based on connections and things of that nature. So pretty much he'll come over to her house to get the information, and then Rihanna comes in because her phone's blowing up. Sandy's calling her like those spam callers calling about car insurance. So they put their conversation on ice, pun intended, until at least tomorrow when he'll call her back. The chief comes in to pretty much taunt Catherine once. Look, I love Renee Lawless. I really do. She seems like a sweetheart. I've seen her in some interviews, but and this isn't just for Catherine, but Tyler is wasting so much talent. Just these scenes are so freaking bone dry. Do I even need to describe what's going on? He pretty much says, without really saying, the Malones have Wyatt. Are you going to give them the money to save your son? Catherine's like, can I be more comfortable? And I'm like, in heaven forbid, Lord, but I'm never in jail or prison or whatever. I'm pretty sure I'm aware that you're not going to get comfort unless you're like a celebrity or something. I don't know. But to actually expect to get finer accommodations for killing the DA is beyond me. At least we had the name drop of George to know that George is still a person, because the last time I remember seeing him is when he walked away from Wyatt. And pretty much the fact that Catherine tries to throw Veronica under the bus, but once again, the chief isn't buying it. And it seems like maybe I'm just kind of throwing it out here. I don't really know if this is the case. If Catherine agrees to pay the money, then maybe she'll get finer accommodations. But I'm not holding my breath, because like Mama Rose says, she's never getting out of there. All right, so then we get a knock on the door over at Veronica's house, and Veronica's cameras apparently aren't working for whatever reason. She said like the camera towards her front door, basically the cameras that are towards the front of her house, were inactive. So she asked Samuel to get the door because Laura is off running errands. And some people were like, well, damn, how long it taking Laura to... Look, Veronica gave her a laundry list of stuff to do, because remember, her whole thing is going around town looking like Veronica, driving her car. And what? Even though we didn't see it, I think Veronica said that she would give Laura a wig or something like that. So basically, once again, reiterating the fact to the audience that Laura is being set up to be the Veronica body double for the thugs who will go see come to get her. Because remember, when she couldn't see who was at the front door, she asked Samuel to go. And then as a result, she grabbed her gun because in the off chance it was, let's say, a thug or whoever, and Samuel opened the door, the thug shot him, then Veronica would know to go, have her gun for protection. Turns out it was Celine. So Veronica comes downstairs, and Samuel goes back to work after getting some water. And Celine is like, I need $1,200 for rent and $200 for my light bill. And Veronica just goes on and on with the insults about this and that. You need to dress more so you don't look so desperate. She promises to go talk to the judge to get her at least in $50,000, I'm guessing, per month in child support, which again I don't feel makes any sense. I know that David talked with the doctor, aka the boss that Celine has at the hospital, and it was implied that Celine was going to be fired, but nothing like that happened on screen. So I don't know for sure Celine got fired. But remember, she said she was working at the hospital as a custodian as well as a burger joint. So it's one of those situations where it's just forced. Look, I'm glad Celine's back, and I'm glad to have characters from the early days back in the show if their story has been concluded. But I feel like she's being so forced into the narrative of the storyline that there's just so many contradictions. So after Celine leaves, Samuel is asked to fix the front door, and again, really don't need to elaborate on this scene. Veronica's just flirting. It's like, oh no, I know you're married, you're happily married, you don't cheat. I just want you to fix the door, camera. And then we got Hannah working on, I'm guessing, executor stuff. I'm just sitting there thinking, this poor woman, and this isn't anything against Hannah, but she isn't qualified to be executor, because I can understand, look, it's hard enough trying to, well, I know how to budget and all, but it's a struggle when you only have maybe a couple $1,000s, but you got a bunch of bills and you're trying to make ends meet versus I'm a have not. And now I've been put in charge of an entire state with no prior experience. I'm way over my head. So basically, Al calls a new character, and I recognize him from The Flash season 4, the Thinker. He was the warden, and he died. But in any case, he's going to come over for some coffee because apparently you go to the same church. He's not going to charge. I forgot his exact role. I think somebody told me that he was like an accountant and he would come over to talk about the estate. I don't know. My biggest takeaway is the fact that this could be Hannah love interest number 3. Yes, well, technically number 5. I still count Tony unofficially because Benny technically did set Tony and Hannah up on a date during season 1. Seriously, go back to watch season 1 on Hulu. It's one of the best seasons. And even though, Hannah shot that down real quick when they were finally alone, I do count that because technically that was a date. Then you have Byron and Michael. Then you had Derek. And now we potentially have Al. So it's funny because he has like, look, as long as you make a good cup of coffee, then there's no charge whatsoever. But basically, I find it funny because with Derek, it was Hannah making tea, and now with Al, it's Hannah making coffee. So who knows? He might be a new love interest. We'll have to wait and see. Maybe I'll do a video between now and next week. So we go over to Veronica. Benny's coming over there. He wants the address and all the information. And even though I'm not the biggest fan of Veronica's insults, cold behavior, and rudeness and evilness, Benny needs to learn some respect. I mean, from, just walking into people's houses, banging on the doors, slamming doors and everything, and just being outright rude. Yeah, Veronica is a bit out of line for all she's, trying to push herself up on Benny, but you could at least say please and thank you. I mean, it's one thing for Benny to at least be halfway polite and then Veronica just to be all seductive and rude and, conniving, but he could at least show some social graces because he's actually helping him out. And long story short, Benny just pushes her off. She doesn't want anything to do with her, but she gives her she gives him the information anyway because apparently things got rough. Just looking over the file, like, oh, your mom, she used to be so attractive and everything back in her day, but no, life was just rough on her. Well, it looks like she used her face for feet. And I'm like, wait, what? And then Benny looked like he was going to wind up and hit her, to be honest. I'm thinking to myself, Veronica, keep talking. Remember, David slapped your ass about a couple feet away from where you and Benny are standing right now. So I don't know why you're running your mouth the way you are. So basically, Benny takes the files and leaves. And this is one of my least favorite Veronica moments of all time. Tyler had Veronica just reciting these yo mama jokes that I remember hearing as a kid from Robin Harris. I love Robin Harris, but I remember on Spotify back during my call center days, I remember finding his comedy album on Spotify, and I'm like, yo, this was up. But it's like, come on, really? Yo mama jokes? I know some people were saying they thought it was funny. It just did. It felt like Veronica, well, excuse the phrase, but Veronica has just fallen from grace. Not because she's the ice queen and evil, but I mean, in regards to the comedic one-liners and all, this was just a new level of low. It's not even funny. It's like Veronica should be far above the yo mama joke crap. I mean, I don't know. This entire episode felt half-assed in more ways than one. All right, so we go over to Justin and Tan. Who gives a crap about this storyline? Basically, Justin's going to do better. He's not going to do this stuff anymore. He promises Tanner he'll fix everything because Tanner's about to leave to go over to, Pearl's house for dinner. And even, I don't know. I mean, is he just staying in town for a while and staying at Pearl's house or what? What the hell is going on? I mean, Tanner's from New York, Justin said. So did Pearl make Tanner come all the way from New York to Georgia to get Justin back in line? And what does Justin mean he'll fix things? Because I'm like, when he was looking at that collage of Jeffrey photos, I'm like, is he going to just kill Jeffrey because he feels like killing Jeffrey will be killing his gayness? I don't know. It's just weird. I don't care. Then we go over to Jim and David, and it's been the same 1-2 step between these two all season. David comes in to give Jim a report about what he could and couldn't find out. Oh, Wyatt's car got moved from the bar over to the loft that he purchased, but then Jim sold. And remember, that's the place Broderick was at. So, I mean, how'd the car get there? Some people are saying that, oh, well, what if the Malones let Wyatt go and then Wyatt just went back to the loft? Well, that makes no sense because it's no longer his and he has no money. So I'm guessing the Malones being the Malones, they probably, I guess you could say, traced Wyatt's, whereabouts, like where he was staying at one point. It's like, well, hey, if we move this vehicle over to this location, then they won't come over to the Malone bar again, which is smart if that is the case, because David came down there giving them the alarm, if you will. So it's like, okay, now we need to move this car because it's hot. That way we got Wyatt here and nobody's going to know. David and Jim kind of exchange words over Mitch and Sandy Malone. He's just a young kid and yada yada yada. He's like, Mitch the Giant. So long story short, David goes out again to see about this whole car situation, but then Jim asks him, he's like, hey, one more thing, if you could just check on the old ball and chain in jail to see if Catherine's doing all right. And I'm wondering whether or not David will be able to see Catherine at all. So after that, the doctor comes in and Jim's going on about how he wants to leave. And basically the doctor's like, fine, I'll give you some painkillers, but just take it easy. And then they bring up the subject of, oh, these pills are addictive. It's like, you're really talking to me about being an addict. And then that transitions over to Wyatt. So how's Wyatt? And I'm thinking, do these people just nonchalantly feel, is Wyatt not going back to jail? Shouldn't this shit be on the, sorry for the language, but shouldn't this be on the news or whatever? Like an escaped prisoner left the hospital and he's on the loose. Like, why isn't this is just like the revolving door of Arkham Asylum. That's literally what this is. So basically, he has a doctor, and he said a she. So yeah, a female doctor that he would recommend to Wyatt. And I'm thinking to myself, I'm just rolling my eyes because, again, guys, I don't hate the show. I still love it. Hence why I still talk about it. But I despised how one note it's become. And I know maybe I'll talk about this in a separate video, but I don't watch daytime soaps. I know some of you all do. You have way more experience than me. So when I talk about the haves and the have-nots, people are like, oh, this is nothing. All these other soap operas do it. Why are you talking about Tyler Perry? Well, this is the only one I look at for comparison, okay? All I'm saying is this. When it comes down to it, I don't give a crap about Wyatt. I don't think a lot of people either, because he should have died a long time ago. What? At the beginning of the series, he was in rehab at Veronica's facility, and Jeffrey was his counselor. Then Wyatt, he was clean for a little while, especially towards the back half of season 2 after the hit and run and the little Lizzie. I mean, because he had no access to drugs, and then he started just drinking and drinking at the beginning of season 2. Oh, wait, yeah, the back half of season 1 was the hit and run, and then season 2 he just was drinking, and then he would get pills and crap, and then that's when he got his inheritance, and Anna was his counselor that was really helping him. Then he backslid again, and yada yada yada. It's just so much. I don't care, guys. I don't care anymore. So we go over to Madison and Jeffrey, and I did the video on the sneak peek. I don't get. Some people like Kobe, other people don't. I feel like it's an unnecessary story point. I mean, that entire scene was so cringy, and I don't. And once again, no shade to the actors, but Madison is just wasted. I felt like that character had so much to add to the Jeffrey storyline and make it interesting, but now it's like I don't even recognize this character to when we first met him. And I always say this about the show. When these characters appear for the first time, it's like, oh, it's only a matter of time before skeletons come out of the closet. But okay, that was a bad punt. Well, bad comparison for the subject, but I wasn't trying to make a pun, just to put that out there. So yeah, there's nothing to say. It was just an embarrassing scene for all involved. So then we got Sandy, who, and again, the acting in this episode felt a bit off. Like, I felt like Sandy's performance was I didn't feel any weight or emotion behind it aside from being a whiny crybaby. Well, this is all your fault because I don't want to be in the family. I don't like to see people killed and everything. I'm like, what the hell did you think the Malones did? Like, I mean, did you just have that thing growing up where you saw your other family members, like when they talk, people listen? When the name Malone was mentioned, it struck fear into their hearts. It's like, what the hell what? I don't know. But basically, he goes on to Mitch because Mitch just pops up, and it's like, well, yeah, if you would have joined the family, then I could leave because Uncle Vinny's coming down on me because I'm the only one left. And I'm like, I feel like Tyler Perry has reduced the Malone scale of power very drastically, where at one point it felt like it was an infinite number of Malones everywhere that, took over. But now it's like, oh, wait, no. Since Mitch isn't in the family, Vinny Malone is now hard on Sandy because Sandy's the only, I guess you could say, runner-up to take over the Malone family or the only person to like pass it on to. I feel is contradictory in like so many ways because we have seen other Malones who are older. So, what? That doesn't make any sense. So him and Mitch get into it. In this scene, I mean, usually the back and forth between Mitch and Sandy is actually pretty funny. It sounds like the old married couple. But in this episode, it just felt so dry. Like, I didn't get anything from it. I mean, Sandy pokes, fun at Mitch, and then Mitch claps back, was like, oh yeah, well, you need to leave that girl alone, Rihanna, because, just leave him alone. Because Mitch is like the smart one. I mean, if Mitch was in the family, it would just be drastically different because he's the most level-headed Malone, if I'm not mistaken. So basically, Benny shows up with an attitude, and I will admit, even though I'm still not a fan of the way Sandy is towards black people, he's absolutely right on Benny rolling up in there, putting hands on his cousin. Wait, I think Sandy and Mitch are cousins, right? And basically, he's going to give him an attitude about the whole Derek situation, and as Mitch said, I gave you the bad info, that way I could stop you from doing something stupid. And then Benny just goes off and then leaves. And then Sandy's like, oh yeah, you better handle that. And I'm thinking to myself, Sandy's one of those people, like, he says he doesn't like to kill and all, but, and I hate to say this given the times we're in now, no shade to the actors. Remember, this is all about the show. I feel like Sandy would probably have no qualms about killing a black person, or at least shooting them. I just have that, just looking at his character, I just feel that way, because he can talk tough when he wants to, but he'll get his ass kicked at some point. I don't know. Maybe it'll be Mitch. Maybe it'll be Benny. I don't know. So in any case, the only gem of knowledge that's really revealed here is apparently He's like, oh yeah, Sandy, ask Mama Rose who your real father is. He's in plot something. Look, I didn't pay attention to that part. I had to run to the bathroom, and then I came back like 45 seconds later. My bad. I know Mitch said something, but I had to go to the bathroom. I couldn't stop. Whatever. So in any case, um, yeah, we're almost done here. We're almost done. We go over to a good scene. Charles and his kids. I did a video on the photo we got. It was the two Jackson, Sela, and Landon and Charles. I thought it was a cute scene. It was great to see the kid actors again. And it's interesting. And the thing I loved about this scene so much is the fact that unlike Hayden and Jaden from House of Pain, these two came up and they had interesting lines of dialogue. And I say interesting because sometimes it's easy to forget that children are so innocent. So just like hearing them talk about the different White House things and not understanding when it came to like, the Easter egg hunt and, pardoning the turkey at Thanksgiving, those things were cute. And I mean, to be honest, it made me feel not giddy. That's the wrong word, but kind of lighthearted because it's like to just be that young again and, look at the world so innocently, but then have it all crashing down due to the reality of circumstance. Okay, I'm sorry. I didn't mean to get all depressing there, but in recent days, man, I swear, just going online. But in any case, the kids get up and leave to, do homework with the nanny and whatnot. And Charles thinks okay, and this is where things get bad. Because again, I think, is it Nick Shigar? Who's the actor? I think he's a phenomenal actor. I know what's that show, Queen of the South? I've never watched it before, but I have watched clips here and there when Charles first came on the show, and I'm like, this guy's a great actor. I think he does a great job as Charles. I like the Obama swagger he has about him. But this scene at this point was completely unnecessary. I feel like the only reason it was here to remind fans or new fans, like, hey, there was this one time that Landon was really into the president and he was jealous of Candace and he tried to make a move on Charles, and Charles knocked him to the ground and yada, yada, yada. This scene had so much repetitive dialogue. How many times did Charles say, thank you for helping with the kids? And, I have feeling, look, I'm not trying to say Charles is gay, but there are just some lines of dialogue that I wouldn't double talk on a subject that sensitive if I was talking with, because I've actually had friends from like high school who, have come out since then. We talk from time to time just to catch up. And let me just put this. I've never had anyone tell me like, hey, well, I didn't have feelings, because everybody knew, I was straight. Cause I was Christian. Some of them knew me from churches. I would speak in different churches back in my home county. So, it was never a question like, oh, Jeremy isn't. No, it wasn't like that. No, I wasn't homophobic or anything either. It was just a situation where I know with certain people and certain subjects, not just with being gay, it's good not to leave things open ended. So when Charles is like, well, I do have feelings for you, but not the way you're thinking. It's like, well, I would just say as a friend, but I don't see you in any way like that since I'm not interested in other men. So I feel like this conversation just kept going around in a circle. It just ate up so much it just unnecessarily took up too much time. At the end of the day, it was great that Charles told his kids like Landon, yeah, he's going to be there, which is great to see because Landon and Charles, I like the dynamic. One of my favorite scenes was when Charles first apologized to Landon for punching him in the face. This was back at the Artesian Hotel, and he's like, look, what happened that other night? It can never happen again. But let me just say that you being gay doesn't affect how I view you as a professional. You're one of the best in the business, hence why I want you on my team. And at that moment, that was one of my favorite scenes because it's like, it's really how the world is today. Like, even if someone isn't of the same gender, the same sexual orientation, the same religion, the same ethnicity, if they're good at their job and you're able to look at things from a professional perspective and not let feelings get involved because a person is good for the company, unless that person is doing something really foul and inappropriate or whatever, then they shouldn't be, I guess you could say, fired. Like, if they're qualified for the job, they should be qualified for the job. I mean, they should get the job regardless of, things like basically there's nothing that's keeping them from doing the job, then, whatever. So I don't know why this scene had to be as long as it was. Again, the acting I felt was good, but it just felt, always say it's not the actors, but it's Tyler's direction and whatnot. It's like, okay, let's move on. So then we get an even more useless scene. Oliver once again. Oh, I was listening. You were into Charles. Oh, that's so unprofessional. Oh, your favorite girl. She was at a hotel with Mitch Malone, one of those the gangster Malone mafia members. And yeah, so she went to a drugstore, and no, the pregnancy test and all wasn't brought up, and they just have another useless back and forth. Guys, this is just, it's stupid. Then Benny confronts Hannah about the whole Derek situation. Oh, he's not going to get away with this, and leave it alone, Benny. Go home, Benjamin, before I call the police. And then as soon as Benny leaves, Derek pulls up. He goes up to him as he stops the truck, and that's the end of the episode. People are like, why is Derek there? I don't think Derek would intentionally go to Catherine's house unless he had a job. Because remember, maybe Jim could have called him or something. Because I don't think Derek would go intentional. I mean, he could indeed be there just to talk with Hannah. But at the same time, I just feel like he probably had a job to do. I'm just speculating. I could be wrong. Derek could be there on his own accord to talk with Hannah. I'm just saying I don't know. And that's how the episode ends. Couple of things here. Number one, Wyatt and Candace were absent from the show. And if I'm not mistaken, this marks the first time that Tinka Sumner and Aaron O'Connell were not in an episode of The Haves and Have-Nots. I was shocked during the live stream when somebody brought up Candace wasn't in the episode. I'm like, holy crap. And then I thought to myself, this episode was so boring. Number one, I didn't notice. And number two, Tyler should have been doing this since day one. Like, you don't need to cram every single character into every episode if they aren't necessary to the plot. But also, that's back during the day when the cast was so much smaller. And it felt like everybody's scenes contributed to the overall story. And on top of that, it's like I said, ever since the show came back in like August or whatever, there's been way too many new characters added to the roster that the main cast are just there. Like, for real, we spent so much time focusing on Charles, Landon, Oliver, Justin, Tanner, Kobe, Madison, Sandy, Rihanna, that it didn't even matter that two of the main characters who have been there in every episode were missing in action. This episode was trash, guys. Like, I only give it a 2 out of 10 because I really enjoyed Charles's kids being back for the brief scene they were. Mitch dropping that one little nugget of, ooh, your real father. I wonder if that's going to be uncovered. The Hannah and Al scene, I like that. That was it. Yeah, 2 out of 10. So with that being said, let me know your thoughts in the comment section below, what you think of the episode. And as always, if you would like to donate to the channel, feel free to do so on PayPal, Cash App, or join Patreon for as little as $1 a month.